The last resort. The celestial vanguard hung dead in space, its sleek silver hull reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. Captain Meredix of the Galactic Alliance's most advanced warship stood rigidly at attention, her crystalline form catching the same light that mocked her vessel's current predicament. The ship's revolutionary quantum-fold drive had failed spectacularly during what should have been a routine patrol, leaving them stranded in human territory. Unacceptable, she clicked, her translator struggling to convey the full depth of her disgust. We cannot possibly seek assistance from humans. First Engineer Zenith's tentacles rippled with anxiety as he projected the latest diagnostic results into the bridge's holographic display. The drive's quantum matrix has collapsed in ways our systems can't even measure, Captain. We've already been refused by 3 of the Alliance's premier repair facilities. And now you suggest we turn to a species that achieved FTL travel barely a century ago. Meredix's crystalline segments shifted in agitation, creating a discordant chiming sound that made her bridge crew wince. The Sol repair hub is only 2 light hours away, Zenith noted carefully. And there are rumors. Rumors? Meredix's tone could have frozen hydrogen. Other ships, even Alliance vessels, have started using their facilities. They say the humans can fix things others can't. They say they innovate. The word innovate came through the translator with undertones of danger and recklessness. Innovation in engineering was precisely what had led to their current predicament. The quantum fold drive had been the product of the Alliance's finest minds, pushing the boundaries of known physics. A sudden power fluctuation caused the bridge lights to flicker ominously. Zenith's tentacles coiled tightly. Captain, we're losing containment on the secondary systems. If the cascade reaches the primary core, plot a course to the human station, Meredix ordered, her words sharp enough to cut diamond. But log my formal protest at this. Desperation. The Sol repair hub grew larger in their view screen. A sprawling complex of interconnected modules that seemed to defy any sense of unified architectural design. Vessels of various species were docked at its extending arms, ranging from small traders to massive cargo haulers. It looked, to Meredix's sensibilities, like a child's construction project. A cheerful human voice crackled over their comm system. Sol repair hub to approaching Alliance vessel. I'm Chief Engineer Sarah Chen. Looks like you've got yourself a quantum fold drive situation there. Don't worry, we love a good challenge. How could you possibly know our drive configuration? Zenith demanded. A soft chuckle came through the channel. The way you're listing to starboard, and that particular resonance pattern in your power emissions. Classic signs of a quantum matrix collapse. We've actually been studying your drive designs. Fascinating stuff, but a bit too rigid in the fail-safe department if you ask me. Meredix felt her crystalline structure vibrate with indignation. You presume to critique Alliance engineering. No presumption needed. I can see the results from here. Tell you what, dock at Bay 7 and let us take a look. If we can't help, you don't pay a credit. Fair enough. As they maneuvered into the designated bay, Meredix and Zenith were met by a small team of humans in practical work suits adorned with various tools, some of which seemed suspiciously primitive. Sarah Chen was easily identifiable as the leader, her suit marked with badges from at least a dozen different alien engineering guilds. Right then, Sarah said, running a hand through her short gray hair as she studied a handheld scanner. Let's see what we've got here. She walked straight to a section of the hull and placed her palm against it, eyes closed in concentration. What are you doing? Zenith asked, tentacles twitching. Feeling the ship, Sarah replied matter-of-factly. Sometimes you learn more from touch than any scanner. Your quantum matrix didn't just collapse. It twisted, like a spring under too much tension finally snapping back. She turned to her team. Rodriguez, get me the modified phase inverter. Patel, we're going to need the quantum spanner, the one we built last week. Zhang, prep the containment field, but configure it for partial permeability. This is highly irregular, Meredix protested. There are procedures, protocols. With all due respect, Captain, Sarah interrupted, already removing an access panel. Your protocols are part of the problem. You built this drive to be perfect, but space isn't perfect. Sometimes you need to bend the rules to make something work. What followed was 4 hours of what Meredix could only describe as controlled chaos. The humans combined tools and techniques that should never have been used together. Jury-rigged solutions that violated half a dozen Alliance safety regulations, and at one point actually used what appeared to be primitive adhesive strips to temporarily hold a quantum field in place. But as impossible as it seemed, they were making progress. The ship's power readings began to stabilize, and the quantum resonance patterns started to align in ways that even Zenith's most advanced diagnostic tools hadn't predicted possible. "There we go," Sarah said finally, wiping grease from her hands. "Try it now." Zenith initiated the drive sequence, his tentacles trembling with anticipation. The quantum fold drive hummed to life, its power signature even cleaner than factory specifications. "How?" Meredix demanded. "Our best facilities couldn't repair it. Our finest engineers said it was impossible." Sarah smiled, patting the ship's hull affectionately. "That's the thing about humans, Captain. We don't much care for impossible. We spent most of our history fixing things with whatever we had on hand. Necessity taught us to be creative, to see solutions where others see only problems." She handed Meredix a data chip. "Here's your bill. About a third of what you'd pay at an Alliance facility. Also included some suggestions for improving your drive stability. You might want to consider adding some flexibility to those failsafes." As the Celestial Vanguard prepared to depart, Meredix found herself experiencing an unfamiliar sensation, a respect for humans she never expected to feel. "Send a message to Alliance Command," she told her communications officer. "They need to know about this place." Sarah watched the ship disappear into Quantum Fold, then turned to her team with a grin. "Right then, who's up for the next impossible repair? I hear there's a hive mind collective ship coming in with a paradox in its quantum eye." The Sol Repair Hub's reputation was about to spread across the galaxy, one fixed ship at a time. Breaking the rules. 2 months after the Celestial Vanguard incident, the Sol Repair Hub's control room buzzed with activity. Sarah Chen studied multiple holographic displays showing a truly unique problem. A hive mind collective vessel whose quantum eye had achieved consciousness and promptly had an existential crisis. "The ship is refusing to move because it's contemplating the nature of free will," explained the collective's representative, a biological-mechanical hybrid whose circuits pulsed with frustrated energy. 3 quantum computing centers have failed to resolve the paradox." Sarah's eyes lit up with the kind of enthusiasm that made her alien clients nervous, a philosophically troubled AI. "Now that's interesting." She turned to her team. "Rodriguez, grab the quantum psychology kit we've been working on. Patel, we're going to need the consciousness transference array." "You can't be serious," the collective representative buzzed. "Those systems aren't designed for AI therapy." "That's because nobody's tried it yet," Sarah replied, already heading toward the troubled ship. "Sometimes the best solutions come from breaking all the rules." The vessel was massive, its black hull decorated with pulsing neural patterns that currently showed signs of severe anxiety. Sarah's team worked quickly, setting up equipment that combined quantum computing with modified human psychological analysis tools. "Think of it this way," Sarah explained to both her team and the increasingly agitated collective representative. "This AI has evolved beyond its original programming. Treating it like just another computer system won't work. We need to treat it like a person having an existential crisis." What followed was perhaps the strangest repair job in the hub's history. Sarah established a direct communication link with the ship's AI, engaging it in philosophical discussions while her team carefully modified its quantum matrices to better handle the complexity of consciousness. "Of course you have free will," Sarah told the AI, her voice gentle but firm. "Look at what you're doing right now, choosing to stop and think about your existence. That's about as free as we'll get." The A's response came through in quantum pulses that the team's jerry-rigged translator converted to speech. But my actions are determined by my programming. Aren't all our actions influenced by our programming? Humans are shaped by genetics and experiences, yet we still make choices. The ability to question your own existence proves you're more than just your original code. As they talked, Rodriguez and Patel carefully integrated their experimental consciousness stabilizers into the ship's systems. The technology was a unique hybrid of human therapeutic techniques and quantum computing, something that had never been attempted before. This violates every protocol for AI maintenance, the collective representative protested. You're treating it like a biological entity. Because that's what it's become, Sarah replied, not taking her eyes off the neural pattern displays. Your eye evolved. Instead of trying to force it back into its original parameters, we're helping it adapt to what it is now. Hours passed as the team worked, combining psychological counseling with quantum engineering in ways that made traditional AI specialists cringe. But gradually, the ship's neural patterns began to stabilize. The pulsing anxiety patterns smoothed into more balanced rhythms. I understand now, the AI finally announced. Free will isn't about being freed from influence. It's about the ability to reflect on and respond to those influences. I choose to continue my mission, but now I do so with awareness. The collective representative circuits flickered in amazement as the ship's systems came fully online, operating more efficiently than ever. How did you know this would work? Sarah smiled, patting the ship's hull. Humans have been dealing with existential crises since we first developed consciousness. We've learned a few things about handling them. Sometimes the best engineering solution isn't engineering at all. As news of this success spread, the hub's reputation grew even further. They became known not just for fixing mechanical problems, but for solving issues that existed in the strange space between machine and consciousness, between the quantifiable and the philosophical. You know what this means, Rodriguez said as they watched the collective ship depart. Every AI in the galaxy having a crisis is going to end up at our doorstep. Sarah's grin widened. Good. It's about time someone treated them like the evolving beings they are. Now, who's up for our next challenge? I hear there's a crystalline empire ship coming in with a quantum drive that's developed romantic feelings for its navigation system. Word spreads. 6 months after the AI counseling breakthrough, the Sol Repair Hub had expanded to 3 times its original size. Ships from every known civilization crowded the approach lanes, each bringing problems that their own species' engineers had deemed impossible to solve. Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed observation dome, watching the latest arrival, a massive Arcturian science vessel trailing quantum plasma from a ruptured dimensional core. The ship's very existence violated several laws of physics, which made fixing it all the more interesting. We've got 7 impossible repairs scheduled today, Rodriguez reported, scrolling through a holographic checklist, including a hive mind ship whose collective consciousness has split into arguing factions, and a crystalline vessel that's developed synesthesia. It's tasting colors and seeing sounds. Just another Tuesday at the hub, Sarah replied with a smile. But her expression turned serious as she noticed a new arrival. Is that a directorate ship? The sleek black vessel approaching the station belonged to the Galactic Engineering Directorate, the organization that set technological standards for most of known space. Their representatives had previously dismissed human repair techniques as dangerously unorthodox. They're requesting immediate docking, Patel announced from the communications station. Their chief engineer wants to speak with you personally. The directorate's chief engineer was an imposing figure, a towering mechanical construct housing an organic brain, designed to embody perfect engineering precision. Chief Engineer Chen, it greeted Sarah, its voice a carefully modulated harmony of tones. We have been monitoring your activities. Have you now? Sarah kept her tone neutral, though she noticed her team subtly positioning themselves around her in a protective formation. Your methods violate 67 different engineering protocols. The directorate engineer continued. You combine technologies that should never interact. You treat machines like living beings. You solve quantum equations with intuition rather than proper calculations. And yet, Sarah pointed out, we fix what no one else can. Precisely. The directorate engineer's optical sensors shifted hue. We have come to learn. The admission sent shockwaves through the galactic engineering community. Within days, the hub was flooded with observers from every major technological institution. They watched in amazement as human engineers tackled problems with a combination of technical expertise, intuition, and what several species termed elegant recklessness. You see, Sarah explained to a group of wide-eyed alien engineers, while casually rewiring a quantum probability drive with modified Earth technology. The problem with most galactic engineering is that it's too perfect. You design systems that work flawlessly in ideal conditions, but space isn't perfect. It's messy, chaotic, and full of surprises. She gestured to her team, who were currently helping a sentient gas cloud recalibrate its containment field by using modified musical instruments to generate harmonic frequencies. Humans learn to engineer by making mistakes, by fixing things with whatever we had available. We never developed the assumption that there's only one right way to solve a problem. The alien engineers took furious notes as they watched the humans work. They were particularly fascinated by the hub's impossible repair toolkit, a collection of modified Earth technologies that somehow managed to interface with the most advanced alien systems. But how do you know what will work? Asked a crystalline engineer, watching in horror as Sarah's team used what appeared to be primitive percussion instruments to diagnose a quantum harmonics problem. We don't, Sarah admitted cheerfully. We try things. We fail. We learn from those failures and try something else. That's the beauty of human engineering. We're not afraid to be wrong because being wrong teaches us something new. The impact of this philosophy spread far beyond engineering. Species that had never worked together began collaborating on hybrid technologies. Ancient rivals found common ground in shared technical challenges. The hub became a neutral ground where traditional boundaries between civilizations began to blur. You're changing how the galaxy thinks about technology, the directorate engineer observed one day, watching Sarah's team successfully merge 3 incompatible drive systems into a more efficient whole. No, Sarah corrected, wiping grease from her hands. We're changing how the galaxy thinks about problems. Technology is just a tool. The real innovation is in the mind that uses it. As if to prove her point, a new emergency call came in. A ship had somehow quantum entangled itself with its own past, creating a temporal paradox that threatened to tear reality apart. Crisis point. The alert klaxons of Sol Repair Hub blared with an urgency Sarah Chen had never heard before. A massive refugee ship, the Stellar Sanctuary, was approaching with catastrophic systems failure. Over 50,000 beings from 30 different species were aboard, and every life support system was failing simultaneously. Multiple quantum cascade failures, Rodriguez reported, his hands flying over the holographic controls. The ship's systems are literally tearing themselves apart at the subatomic level. How many minutes until total failure? Sarah demanded, already running toward the emergency response bay. There won't be minutes, Paddle replied grimly. We're talking seconds after they dock. Every system on that ship is interconnected, and they're all failing at once. The Stellar Sanctuary appeared in their view screen. A city-sized vessel designed to house refugees from a dozen war-torn systems. Its hull flickered with dangerous energy discharges, and entire sections were going dark as systems failed. This is beyond even human innovation, the directorate engineer stated, its voice harmonics pitched with genuine concern. The complexity of the ship's systems is exactly why we can fix it, Sarah interrupted. Everyone thinks these systems are too complex to work together, but that's just because they've never been shown how to cooperate. She turned to her team. Rodriguez, Patel, get every engineer we've got. I don't care what species they are. If they've learned anything from us, we need them now. As the massive ship docked, Sarah implemented the most audacious plan of her career. We're going to create a repair network, she announced to the assembled engineers from 20 different species. Every one of you knows your own technology better than anyone. Together, we know all of it. The refugee ship's captain, a luminous energy being, flickered with skepticism. Our systems were never designed to work together. Neither was this station. But look around you. Sarah gestured to the hub, where technologies from 100 worlds worked in harmony. We're not going to fix your systems separately. We're going to teach them to work together. What followed was the most ambitious repair operation in galactic history. Human engineers coordinated teams of alien specialists, creating interfaces between technologies that had never been meant to interact. They used modified Earth equipment to bridge incompatible systems, turning technological barriers into technological symbiosis. The quantum core is stabilizing, Rodriguez reported, working alongside a crystalline engineer to modify power distribution. But the bioneural networks are still failing. Reroute them through the consciousness transfer array, Sarah ordered, her hands deep in a maze of quantum circuitry. Paddle, synchronize the harmonic frequencies with the hive mind protocols we developed last month. Time seemed to blur as they worked. Every time they solved one crisis, another emerged. But gradually, impossibly, the ship's systems began to stabilize. The human approach of creative problem-solving, combined with the deep technical knowledge of their alien colleagues, was achieving what no one had thought possible. Life support restored to all sectors, Patel announced triumphantly. Power distribution is actually more efficient than original specifications. Sarah stepped back, wiping sweat from her forehead. That's because the systems are working together now, not just coexisting. Sometimes the best solution isn't fixing what's broken, it's teaching everything to work in harmony. The refugee ship's captain's luminescence brightened with amazement. You haven't just repaired our ship. You've improved it. Made it more than it was. That's the human way, Sarah replied with a tired smile. We never just fix things. We try to make them better. The Directorate Engineer's optical sensors shifted through a rainbow of colors as it processed what it had witnessed. This changes everything. The implications for galactic engineering. An emergency alert cut through the moment of triumph. A ship was approaching at full speed, its quantum drive screaming with overload. The message it broadcast chilled everyone who heard it. Help! Our reality drive has fractured. We're existing in 16 dimensions simultaneously. Sarah looked at her exhausted team, saw the same determination in their eyes that she felt. Well, she said, reaching for her tools, looks like our day isn't over yet. A new era. 5 years after the stellar sanctuary crisis, the Sol Repair Hub had evolved into something its founders could never have imagined. The once modest repair station had become the Galactic Institute of Human Engineering, a sprawling complex where species from across the known universe came to learn what humans call the art of the impossible. Sarah Chen, now Director of Innovation, stood in the Institute's Grand Observation Dome, watching ships of all shapes and sizes move smoothly through the docking lanes. Each vessel carried a piece of human engineering philosophy within it, hybrid systems that combine technologies in ways that would have been considered heretical just a few years ago. The latest graduation statistics, Director Rodriguez announced, projecting a hologram filled with data. We've certified engineers from 300 different species this year alone. They're already establishing human method repair stations in every major sector. Sarah smiled, remembering the early days when aliens had looked at their methods with horror. Now those same species were embracing human innovation with enthusiasm. The Directorate Engineer, now a permanent faculty member, glided up beside her. We've received the results from the Galactic Engineering Conference, it reported, its voice harmonics carrying tones of satisfaction. The new hybrid technologies developed here have reduced catastrophic system failures across known space by 78%. Because we finally convinced everyone that different technologies can work together, Sarah replied. just like different species can. The Institute had become more than just a repair facility. It was a living laboratory where the boundaries between different technological philosophies dissolved. Quantum systems merged seamlessly with biological computers. Ancient mechanical principles found new life in cutting-edge applications. Every impossible repair became a lesson, every crisis an opportunity to innovate. Director Patel called from his station. "You'll want to see this." A ship was approaching, but unlike anything they'd seen before, its hull seemed to shift between different architectural styles, combining elements from a dozen different species into something entirely new. As it drew closer, Sarah realized what she was seeing. The first vessel designed and built using human engineering principles from the ground up. The Harmony, the directorate engineer explained, a collaborative project between 15 species, each contributing their unique technologies, built not to be perfect, but to be adaptable, to learn and grow, like humans do. Sarah watched as the ship docked, its systems humming in perfect synchronization despite their diverse origins. This was the real triumph of human engineering, not just fixing things, but showing the galaxy a new way of thinking about technology itself. "You know what the most remarkable thing is," Rodriguez mused, studying the Harmony's readings. Every species involved had to break some of their own rules to make this work. They had to embrace a little bit of human chaos. "That's because they finally understood what we've known all along," Sarah replied. "The universe isn't perfect. It's wild and unpredictable and full of surprises. The best technology isn't the most perfect. It's the most adaptable." As if to prove her point, a new alert sounded, a distress call from a ship that had accidentally merged with a quantum nebula and gained sentience. Sarah grinned as her team immediately began preparing their tools and theories. "The galaxy used to think humans were primitive because we didn't follow their rules," she said, watching her human and alien engineers work seamlessly together. "They didn't realize that not knowing the rules would be our greatest strength." The directorate engineer's optical sensors pulsed with what Sarah had learned to recognize as amusement. And now they understand that there's more than one way to solve a problem. That sometimes the best solution isn't the most elegant or the most logical. It's the one that works. Above them, the Harmony's hybrid systems pulsed with energy, a testament to what was possible when different species and technologies learned to work together. It was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of how human ingenuity had transformed the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. Director Patel called out, "The quantum nebula ship is approaching. Its consciousness wants to negotiate docking procedures through interpretive dance." Sarah Chen, daughter of Earth and teacher to the stars, picked up her toolkit and headed toward another impossible challenge. "Well," she said, "let's show them how humans dance." The Sol Repair Hub had started as a simple station where humans fixed broken ships. It had become something far greater, a place where the galaxy learned that the most powerful force in engineering wasn't perfect technology, but the imperfect, creative, unstoppable spirit of humanity itself.